Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 2 in our 5-week series focusing on the academic programs and changes taking place in the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Before we jump in, I want to reintroduce a few of us who will be with you the entire hour. I am Nicole Skelly Fitzgerald. I am the Director of Recruitment and Enrollment. We have Jessica McGuire, the Director of Admissions, with us today, and we also have Dr. Kathy Kelly, Associate Dean for Academic Outreach and Advising. Today, we are going to hear from faculty in Communication Science, Speech Language Pathology, Audiology, and our Physician Assistant Studies residential program, and our new Physician Assistant Studies hybrid program. First, a reminder, take a look at the videos I shared via email yesterday. If I did hear that at least one person did not receive that email. If you didn't get that and you'd like it, please let me know. We broke up that 1-hour session into 3 different chunks, an overview of SHRS, the Master of Rehabilitation Technology, and the Doctor of Physical Therapy pieces. We also called out a few highlights from each of those sections. You can skim through to those highlights. You can watch the whole thing. Up to you, but there's definitely some great information there that is going to be relevant for you. So you might want to take a look at that. I would like to introduce to you this afternoon, Dr. Cheryl Messick, the Interim Director of the Upper Division Undergraduate Communication Science Program. We also have Dave Bodnar, the Academic Advisor for the program, with us today. Would you each like to say hello, put some faces to those names?
Hi, so nice to have you here today, and I hope we can provide an outline of the Communication Science undergrad degree.
Yep, welcome. And, I'm looking forward to answering any questions that you may have in terms of communication science or the advising process.
If you have any students interested in communication science in their first and sophomore years, definitely send them over to Dave. He can help guide them through kind of some options and opportunities available to them before they get started in the program. So, Cheryl, would you start by giving us a brief overview of the program? Who might be interested in communication science as an undergraduate major?
Sure. I think we see students coming into communication science from a lot of different directions. So some students know that they want to get the background to move on to graduate studies in either audiology or speech language pathology. Another set of students know that they're kind of aimed at allied health fields, but they haven't quite honed in on an area, and communication science can make for a really nice undergraduate background, regardless of the direction you might go in the many directions that allied health can take. Our major definitely has a very strong science base. And so students that really have a strong interest in science, or students whose goal it is to really have a career in an area where they can impact the daily lives and the outcomes of people with disabilities in the area of communication disorders. And we also offer students opportunities to do undergraduate education. We have a wide range of faculty, each of whom has areas of expertise. So for students who have an interest in a sub area within communication disorders, we can connect them with faculty there where they can talk to them to learn more about those interests or get experience from working with them in their labs.
Are there any opportunities for students to explore communication science before applying to the major?
Dave, do you want to jump in on this one?
Sure. Yeah, there's absolutely ways for students to get a little more experience before joining the major. As freshmen, students have the opportunity to take 2 courses, one in the fall and one in the spring. And those courses would be our Intro to Audiology and our Intro to Speech Language Pathology. And then as sophomores, they have the option for 2 more or all 4. And that would be the addition of the Nature of Language and the Intro to Professional and Clinical Issues courses. And then students are also encouraged to join different organizations, such as there's a Pitt chapter of the National Student Speech Language Hearing Association, or NISLA, which is the only national student organization for pre-professionals studying communication science and disorders, recognized by the American Speech Language Hearing Association, which is ASHA. Students can also join Pitt Panthers. It's an audiology/hearing related student organization on campus, for anybody who's interested in, hearing disorders and that kind of thing as well.
Great. We're going to jump over to admissions. We've only got a little bit of time with everybody today. So first, I want to point out that prerequisites for all of our upper division programs are being changed, oftentimes just a little bit, to align with the new SHRS general education requirements. These changes will be effective for students beginning their first year this fall, 2021. And we are going to have this information on our website, but it's not there yet. Once it is there, we will send out an email blast, point everybody to those changes. But in the meantime, Cheryl, could you tell us what the most significant change to the prerequisites is going to be for students applying to begin communication science fall 2023?
So the requirements listed here will all be still in place in 2021, except for the very last one where it says 6 additional credits. We're moving that off. Those were just broad, kind of open-ended credits in areas such as global diversity and ethics. So really the list from everything above the bullet item that says 6 additional credits will be in place for fall 2021. So most of them are in line with standard freshman general education requirements that you'll see across campus at Pitt.
How can advisors assist the incoming first-year students in building their schedule if they're interested in communication science when some of these changes are happening?
I think probably, starting off with some of the common freshman requirements like the college math and English composition, intro to psychology are a good starting place. It's important for students to have some kind of background in science before they apply to our program, which would be in the spring of their sophomore year. So they have some time to meet these prerequisites. I'd also emphasize, going back to Dave's comment that he just made about we have 4 courses in the communication science disorders program. And I think having them take the intro to audiology course and the intro to speech language pathology course can give them a real good feeling of the range of areas covered in audiology and speech language pathology, and to see if it's an area that they're interested in. So actually, we'd love to have any students from Pitt join those 2 courses because, quite frankly, having a background in understanding communication disorders is just a really nice area of knowledge for a student to have no matter what direction they go career-wise.
And moving into admission or the application side of the admissions process, these are the average application numbers over the past few years. What are you looking for in a competitive applicant? What experiences really help a student stand out?
Dave, you want to jump in on this one?
Sure. Excuse me. A competitive applicant would be somebody preferably around like a 3.0, though our minimum is a 2.75 in terms of the GPA requirement. And it's someone who's working through, the listed prereqs and, our available, coursework that's available to non-majors. And we would love to see them preferably within a B range, showing that they can be, proficient with that material. And, that to me usually demonstrates that they have an interest as well. And then also it's a nice sign if they're also, somewhat active in any groups, organizations, other than just kind of struggling through just the coursework.
I might add here too, I think for students that may have an interest, while it's been challenging in the last year during COVID, I think for a student prior to applying, if they can take some time to do some shadowing experiences in their home community, that can really help them get a better understanding of the fields too.
An FAQ that comes up anytime we say shadowing. Do you have any recommendations of how to find someone who would be willing to be shadowed, or who you should reach out to in the Pittsburgh area or in their home communities? Do you have any recommendations for those students?
It's really, really tough right now in the Pittsburgh area. So certainly UPMC has not opened up to student observers yet due to just protective features to make sure that their patients are safe. But I think sometimes some students have had a better chance of getting some opportunities for observation if they've contacted private practitioners, so SLPs who are in private practice in the community, as well as SLPs who may be doing services through telehealth. So with patient permission, a student can actually do some telehealth observations where they can see treatment and assessments in progress.
You talked a little bit about the different fields that our alumni are going into once they graduate. So could you tell us, maybe the question isn't where are they headed, since you covered that already, but how successful are students in gaining admission to Pitt's speech, language pathology, and audiology graduate programs?
I think that's a hard question to answer because it depends on, the kind of competition across the program. So certainly we are a very high ranked program, which makes it competitive to get in. In our advising with students as they get ready to embark on applying to graduate programs, we encourage everyone to apply to a range of programs, okay, rather than just honing in on one. I know in our current class of SLP students who are entering in fall 2021, we actually have 8 students who have been accepted under the freshman guarantee program. So those were students that knew they were interested in speech language pathology when they applied to the program as freshmen. And 8 of them are obviously, they were accepted in the program, but they also selected Pitt as their top program. And in audiology, we have 3 students coming in who came in under the freshman guarantee. We do have, I believe, and I don't have the numbers at my fingertip, but I believe about 50% of the class coming in 2021 into speech language pathology are from the Pitt undergrad program. So Pitt undergrads compete just like everyone else in it, but we certainly work really closely with you when you're in our undergraduate program to help you be as successful as possible and to develop a very strong portfolio for applying to graduate school.
Are there any questions from the advisors? So thank you so much, Dr. Messick. Thank you so much, Dave Bodnar, for being with us.